going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk to you guys about something a little bit different than we've been talking about for the past year. For the past year, we've been talking about pretty much nothing but Season of Discovery and the classic servers. Well, recently I've had a shift in my mindset, and I'm actually getting pretty excited for MoP Classic. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you're on the fence about playing it like I was, and maybe you don't really even know if you like the expansion, maybe you think it's shit right off the bat without even trying it, just take a watch to this video, because after a while of doing some research and watching old videos and reading about all this stuff, I'm pretty excited for it, a lot more excited than I originally was. So without further ado, let's dive in. So whether you guys are a returning veteran or brand new to Mists of Pandaria, this is going to be kind of your base level prep guide and overview of what's to come in the expansion. We're going to be breaking down everything that you need to know before MoP Classic drops, like the zones, the dungeons, classes, factions, and what you should be doing right now to prepare for the upcoming launch. So let's start off with what is Mists of Pandaria. Mists of Pandaria originally launched back in 2012 and was WoW's 4th expansion. It introduced the Pandaren as a playable race on both Horde and Alliance, and brought the first ever neutral starting experience on the Wandering Island. Alongside them came the Monk class, a new martial arts inspired hybrid that can tank, heal, and DPS. MoP was known for its lush environment. It had some pretty good lore. It wasn't just a war story, it was a journey of like self-control, exploration, and fighting your inner demons, literally in the form of the Shah. So let's talk a little bit about leveling and the zones in MoP, right? Leveling in MoP Classic will take you from level 85 all the way up to level 90 across 7 pretty beautifully designed zones. Each one has its own aesthetic, storylines, and progression path. You're going to hit the Jade Forest, which is basically your introduction to Pandaria, packed with faction conflict and gorgeous scenery. We have the Valley of the Four Winds, which is kind of quirky and fun. Filled with tons of beer, giant vegetables, and the infamous Hosen mobs. Then we have Kunlai Summit, which is just a bunch of sweeping mountains, monasteries, and the Shadowpan. We have the Dread Wastes, which are corrupted by the Shah and home to the Klaxi. And then we have the Karasang Wilds, Taolong Steppes, and the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. Each zone features just tons of quests, rare mobs, treasures, and progressive storytelling that ties directly into the upcoming raid content. Now, MoP also launched with 6 dungeons and 3 raids. The dungeons are pretty fast-paced and challenging compared to what you're used to in Cataclysm and maybe Wrath of the Lich King Classic, but they're incredibly thematic, like the brewery where you fight a giant hopping beer elemental. This is still one of my favorite dungeons today, and every time it pops up in retail, I love doing this dungeon. And the 3 raids that launches with are Mogashan Vaults, Heart of Fear, and Terrace of Endless Spring. Now, for these dungeons and raids in MoP Classic, I want to make sure you guys understand that you should expect these fights to be a little bit more mechanic heavy than Kata and Wrath, right? You're gonna really be on top of interrupts, movement, ad spawns, you name it. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. MoP kind of is the midway point where the game starts to feel like retail in terms of difficulty and mechanics, but at the end of the day, it still feels like Classic. The old damage numbers are still there. Hitting your buttons feels like Wrath and Kata, maybe even a little bit better, a little bit more fluid, but it's definitely a little bit harder. But if you're someone who really doesn't, long for that type of content, don't worry, because there's tons of casual content in here as well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we get the new class, which is the Monk. Now, I am not a Monk player. I have never really played a Monk, not in any version of WoW ever since the original MoP launched, but for the most part, monks can be tanks, healers, and DPS, right? If you're tanking, you're going to be a Brewmaster. If you're healing, you're going to be a Mistweaver, which is like a hybrid of like hot healing, kind of like druid healing mixed with direct healing. So apparently they're very fun. I've never played one, but maybe I'll give it a shot in MoP Classic. And then you have Windwalker as your melee DPS. It's like a, fast-paced martial arts style DPS combat. That seems a little bit more up my alley. That's probably what I would play if I roll a monk. Now, monks use energy and chi, and they bring mobility and utility to every single group that they're in. And you get a roll. Yes, a button that you can hit that just makes your character dodge roll, which is pretty awesome. Let's talk about a couple of systems and some changes that are coming in MoP Classic now. So Mists of Pandaria also revamped the talent system, right? We have our talent trees in Vanilla, TBC, Wrath, Kata. that is no longer a thing. This is where the one choice per tier format came in. It originally came in Mist of Pandaria. So we're going to be getting that. You're going to be getting pet battles. Yes, you know, Pokemon in WoW. I've never really been into it, but a lot of people say it's super fun and pretty addicting. So I'm probably going to give that a try. We have scenarios, which are basically 3-player story-driven content without the need for tanks and healers, just kind of stuff you can dive into and have some fun. And then tons of daily quest hubs, right? The reputation grinds are back in MoP Classic, and there's apparently tons of content here. And then, of course, the legendary quest line for Rathion, which you'll want to start early because it spans throughout the entire expansion. Now, most of you sitting there that are still on the fence, not really sure if you want to play MoP Classic, or you want to play, there's some things that you can do now to prep for the upcoming MoP pre-patch and then the launch of the expansion, right? You can stockpile your gold. You're going to need it for flying, professions, gear, rep items. You can cap your professions, especially crafting and gathering ones. MoP has some pretty powerful early gear and BOEs. You can gear up some of your alts. You can plan your main, right? If you're not going to be switching to a monk main, is the class that you're taking forward into MoP Classic going to be strong in the ways that you know that it is right now? Is it going to be changing? Do some research on that. And if it doesn't matter and you just want to play it to have fun, that's okay too, right? You could check out your UI and some of your add-ons, make sure your interface is ready for all the new systems coming, like chi tracking, the revamped talents, all that good stuff. And then bank space, right? Clear out your bags and your banks, because you're going to loot a ton of shit in Pandaria. But aside from that, I mean, MoP Classic is shaping up to be one of the most chill, content-rich, and nostalgic expansions in WoW's history. A lot of people are more hyped about this than they were for Kata. I'm not really in that category. I'm slowly getting into that category. I don't know that much about MoP. I'm not a MoP professional, right? So if I get anything wrong in these videos, feel free to correct me down in the comments below. I'm not claiming to be a professional MoP player. Honestly, up until a few months ago, I really wasn't even excited for this expansion. But as I'm researching more to kind of try and figure out what's going on with this expansion and make this content for you guys, I'm really getting excited for this expansion. It seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. So let me know down in the comments below if you guys are going to play MoP. I know a lot of my audience is probably going to say no because most of you came, from Season of Discovery and the Anniversary realms. But, I'm going to be branching out. I want to have some fun. It seems like right now in WoW, it's kind of a weird time, right? Where we don't have TBC coming till the end of the year. I really have no interest in playing Anniversary aside from the ranking that I did, and Season of Discovery is nearing its end, right, with the Scarlet Enclave, so we got nothing really going on, so it's kind of the perfect time for Mist of Pandaria Classic to launch within the next couple of months here, and I think the way that everything is right now, it'll actually give me time to dive in and see what this expansion's all about. I think it's going to be a lot of fun from what I'm reading, but again, let me know down in the comments below if you guys are going to be checking it out. I'm pretty excited. And subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next time I post a video. And if you guys want to hang out with me live, jump over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/hammerdance. I stream Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one.